Today, we are introing the Olympic podcast team for Neutral Deductions and talking about what we are most looking forward to in Paris. For those new here, I'm Kensley, the host of Neutral Deductions, a podcast all about men's gymnastics. This is episode 41, where I'm joined by former NCAA athletes and Gabe Sanchez and Christian Marsh.
This is the Neutral Deductions Podcast, men's gymnastic news, coverage, and analysis. Hosted by Kensley Behel.
I am by far the worst gymnast here on this podcast, and I am so honored that Christian and Gabe have joined me here and are going to be taking over responsibilities for the Neutral Deductions podcast when I am working with NBC. So Christian, will you just give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you're most looking forward to?
Yeah, of course. Hello. So my name is Christian, as it's been said already. I am a rising 3L, so my last year at law school at William & Mary Law, where I also went for undergrad and did 5 years of NCAA gymnastics. I'm a big rings guy, although technically I did do all 6. And yeah, I'm also a registered judge.
Clarifying, gymnastics judge, not like lawyer judge, right?
No, I'm not barred yet. So fingers crossed.
Just wanted to make that clarification. All right. And Gabe, I believe you also have a little bit of judging experience and gymnastics experience. People you've been on before, but again, just a quick intro about who you are and what you do here at Neutral Deductions.
Yeah, I'll get into my intro in a sec, but Christian, you could be the first person to be a gymnastics judge and a judge. So that would be a cool.
I don't know. I bet Devin DeBacker is a real good judge from out here on the East Coast who is an attorney. So he might beat me to it if he puts his mind to it.
There's a competition brewing. Yeah, that's fun. So yes, many of you have heard my voice before. I was able to join Kensley on both the Canada Nationals podcast and also the US Nationals podcast. So as I mentioned before, I was on the Nebraska men's gymnastics team from 2009 to 2013. And since then, I've been able to stay around the sport, judging a little bit. But it is great to be here with both of you and contribute to Neutral Deductions during the Paris Games.
Yeah, and it should be said that all of this was Gabe's idea, because when I got my contract with NBC, I just thought that I wasn't going to be covering anything to do with men's gymnastics with Neutral Deductions. And Gabe sent me an email and said, hey, I really want to do this. I don't want to miss out on this. And we sort of put together this amazing team. So we've got Christian, who's going to be helping podcasting. We've got Matt, who's going to be editing. And we have Aiden, who is going to be writing some articles on the website. So look forward to all of their coverage. So I want to go ahead and dive into the things I'm really looking forward to seeing in Paris. I cannot wait for this men's team final. I have no clue who's going to win the bronze medal. Really, even the gold, even though I think it's going to be Japan, but this is the most excited I have been about a men's team final competition in years. What do you think is going to happen, Christian, in this men's team final?
Oh, well, a lot. It's going to come down to hits, I feel like, even more so than usual. I saw the graphic you put out with start values. Ukraine's a little bit ahead of the US and Great Britain in terms of start value, but they're a little less consistent. And I'm super into their story of the fact that, their country is at war currently. So to show up and show out would be absolutely fantastic. The US, wants to get back on that podium. They did it at Worlds last year, and they want to show that they are hanging right in there. We can do it. And then Great Britain as well is nothing to slouch at. They've got 2 huge events between floor and vault, and it's going to be chaos and insanity. I'm very excited.
Do you have a final prediction that you want to share with the listeners?
My prediction, I'm putting the U.S. on podium. Absolutely. I'm, of course, biased, and I am actually friends with a couple of guys on the team. But no, that's where I'm putting my cards.
Gabe, what about you? If you were picking the gold medal today, who do you think is going to take it away? Do you think it's Japan with the higher D score, or do you think it's China with their crazy unpredictability, or do you think it's going to be someone completely new?
So I'm just going to put my hand in with the favorites with Team Japan. I think looking at them from the national competitions, they look so clean. They look so prepared. They have some crazy high difficulty, and I think they're just going to walk away with it. I do want to mention that my underdog pick is Ukraine. I think it is amazing that they've been able to maintain such a high level of gymnastics. They got the European title this year. And we have to think about just Team Ukraine has not had the best luck at the Olympics. Think back to 2012, where a lot of people think that they should have won a medal. And now they have a team, they're competing. They qualified from the 2023 Worlds in last place. They got the last possible spot. So it is just amazing to see this team here. And I really hope they can show off at the Olympics.
I do too. They have had such inner turmoil these past few years within the team. You know, some of the Ukrainian gymnasts decided to stay in Ukraine and were working within their military system to pass out food and other needed items. And then some chose to go to another country and train for safety. And it created all of this sort of interpersonal strife. And I would love to see them put it all together. And who knows, we could get something crazy where China completely implodes and both the US and Ukraine end up on the podium. But I do think, again, most likely is probably Japan, then China. And I think I would also put US on the podium as well. Okay, my next top thing to watch for at the Olympics is the pommel horse final, which if you had told like 2012 Kensley that 2024 Kensley was going to say she was most looking forward to the pommel horse final, I don't think anyone would have believed that. I could not stand pommel horse. I did not understand it. I was like, what are these men doing? They're just going in these circles and no one understands what it is. And now that I have a better grasp of what this event actually is, I am so excited because I mean, this could be an event where you have to get 15 to get in the final. I think 14-8 is probably a more likely scenario, but you have Max Whitlock, reigning double Olympic champion on pommel horse, Nariman Kurbanov and Ahmed Abu Al-Sood, who are sort of newcomers onto the stage who qualified through that World Cup. Two-time reigning world champion Reese McClanagan. You've got Sakino Takaki, who has a 690 score, which may be the highest we see the entire competition. 2021 world champion Steven Edorosik from the US, who can be fantastic there. And then Her Woong, the surprise replacing Kim Han-sol. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like if all 7 of these guys make it into the final, no one is going to know who's going to win. It's not like there's going to be a favorite, and I cannot wait.
I also want to add on, it's not just impressive. It's not going to be a battle just to get to the finals. It was a battle to get to the Olympics. True. We saw favorites like Taiwan's Li Chikai not even qualify. And it wasn't because he was out of shape. He was putting together high level routines and he still didn't make it. So
yeah, and he's the reigning Olympic silver medalist on the event. If that tells you how tight the competition was to make it here for pommel horse. Christian, if there was one thing that you were looking forward to, like a skill, an athlete, something that you want to see, maybe like the cleanliness of someone like Reese McClanagan versus maybe someone with higher difficulty, like what is it about the pommel horse final that attracts you?
We've got some titans swinging on the horse. So I am also a notorious D score hound. So I enjoy watching someone just put the 10 hardest skills that they can do in a row and make it through. So I love the high difficulty routines like Max, of course. And then I did not know that that Japanese athlete had a 6'9". But my favorite maybe sleeper for something extremely difficult is Ahmad Abu Al-Sood, the athlete from Jordan, who I believe does a sewn flop 9th skill in his horse routine, which is about the most unhinged thing you could do in a pommel horse routine. So
for those of us who don't do pommel horse, can you like give an analogy for how hard that is?
Yeah. So, gymnastic skills are on this range from, A to on horse, it ends at G, H now actually. And so sewn starts itself at an E, where you do a full spin on one hand that you place upside down at first. And then if you ride that all the way around, do 2 single pommel loops and then begin to do full turning Russian spins out of it, you can upgrade the value of that skill. It's extremely difficult. Very few people do it. And the few people who do it very, very early in their set. And he instead does it ninth because he's just got it like that.
So would you compare this to maybe like Simone Biles ending her floor routine with a double-double? Like most people who can do a double-double start their floor routine with that, and she sometimes ends with a double-double. Is that sort of what we're talking about here?
No, exactly. And depending on how many Russians he does out of the zone in the flop, that it could be closer to putting a triple double at the end of your set.
Wow. Unbelievable. So thank you for that.
Neutral Deductions recently launched this year and is entirely funded by listener contributions. If you'd like to support the show and help promote men's gymnastics, kindly consider making a donation through the PayPal link provided in the show notes. All donations are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
The final thing that I'm really looking forward to is there were some pretty controversial strategies coming into this Olympic Games in terms of pick. And I want to know, are any of these controversial strategies going to pay off? The one I'm most looking forward to watching is probably the British team and the Chinese team. I think both of their teams were a little bit of odd selections, and I want to see, are they going to make it on the medal stand? And if so, what position? Or are they going to have complete disasters and, show that maybe their selection procedures weren't quite up to par? So Christian, what about you? What is most exciting to you about these Olympic Games?
I'm most excited about the redemption tours and the comeback stories. So there are a lot of athletes with something to prove this go around. And I feel like the stories behind these medals are going to be just as enticing as the gymnastics itself. I mean, when I sat down to just like think about it, I came up with this huge list of people coming back from injuries or just, or not even an injury, but like Carlos Yulo, who's one of, the best gymnasts in the world, one of the best tumblers and vaulters in the world, got a 0 on vault at Worlds when his hand slipped on the front handspring double pike. And so he's going to be there. All these athletes are going to have these opportunities to redeem themselves. And that's what I'm looking for. And even further, there's some athletes who are looking to prove some people wrong. Like, for example, in the US, lots of people were surprised when a single event specialist, Steven Jurosik, made the team. And, he does not have, the highest international hit rate. And so for him to have this opportunity now to be able to come out and do this extremely difficult horse set and swing big for the team and then swing big for an Olympic medal, I think that could be a fantastic story, and so that's what I'm looking for, the behind the scenes that makes the medal that much better.
Yeah, that's something that I talked about in my podcast with Connor McCool about. There is this option in the team final that probably one of either Great Britain, Ukraine, or the US may start on rings, which would be similar to what happened in 2008 when they last got that bronze medal. And Sasha Artemev, leading up to the Olympic Games, had a really terrible hit rate throughout the Olympic trials process. And then he was an alternate athlete who ended up coming in, and then he was the last gymnast to go on the last event, and he secured that bronze medal for them. And I think for Steven, right, we all know he's fantastic on pommel horse, but as you mentioned, his hit rate internationally, it's not great. But I think if he could have sort of that moment where maybe he helps seal a medal, the first medal in, since 2008 for the US team, like that sort of, I think in many people's mind will erase the previous difficulties that he's had. So I completely agree with you. Gabe, what about you? What are the things that you are most looking forward to in these Olympics?
So what I'm most excited to see is what country could earn its first ever gymnastics Olympic medal. And there are actually quite a few good candidates. I made a list of the gymnasts who have medaled at a world championships before. So these are guys who are definitely capable of medaling in Paris. So let's start off with Kazakhstan. You have Milad Karimi, whose standout gymnast already proved himself able to medal at the last world championships on floor, but he's also a medal threat on high bar. So keep an eye out for him. Definitely could make history for Kazakhstan. Next up, as Christian already mentioned, for the Philippines, Carlos Yulo. He's really known for his dynamic performances on floor and vault, and he's a serious medal threat on those two events. He was disappointed with his performances in Tokyo, was again capable of medaling there. He didn't, but Paris definitely could be his moment. Then you have Ireland's Rhys Mulcanahan, another name to watch. He's the reigning world champion on pommel horse. He's already put Irish gymnastics on the map. And if he can bring that top form like he did at the last World Championship, it could be Ireland's first gymnastics medal. And then finally, we mentioned him already, but I just want to point out how impressive it would be for Ahmad Abu Al-Soud from Jordan to medal. He's a 2-time world medalist on pommel horse. He has this crazy difficulty, but Jordan has only had 3 Olympic medalists in the history of their country. So there are only 3 Olympic medalists from Jordan, and Ahmad could be the 4th. And I think that would just be a crazy, impressive story.
Yeah, I think maybe another name I would even add to that list is Mahdi Olfati from Iran. I don't believe that any gymnast from Iran has ever won an Olympic medal, and he's a little inconsistent on his second vault, but his first vault, the Yurchenko double pike, in my opinion, is even better than Simone's. It is without deduction if he sticks it perfectly down the middle, in my opinion. Now the judges are still going to find something like a shoulder angle or something, but really he has his legs glued together. He has amazing height. His form is stunning, and he's a gymnast I would also love to see be one of those surprise medalists.
Absolutely. And those were just the guys who've medaled at the World Championships before. There's plenty of other guys who could be the first medalist from their country. I'm thinking of like Colombia's Angel Barajas, who actually is a really strong medal contender on high bar. So I feel like someone's going to make it happen, and it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Neutral Deductions is your exclusive gymnastics news platform focused entirely on men's gymnastics. To show your support, please subscribe to Neutral Deductions YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram.
So are you both, this is a question for both of you, do you enjoy the chaos that usually happens at an Olympic Games, or do you wish it was a little bit more straightforward?
I live for the chaos. Something like Max especially is one, because I feel like I didn't see him last quad at all, and then he like emerged from the shadows to win the Olympics, and then I haven't seen him that much this quad. So for him to show up again out of nowhere and then win on horse would be fantastic. But then you got on the other end, you got like high bar, where everyone fell except for like 4 people in high bar finals at the last Olympics, and the 5th person who didn't fall was Brody, but he backdoored his hawk, so even he had like a major. No, I love the chaos. It keeps me on the edge of my seat.
Gabe, are you pro chaos or anti chaos?
So I think, Christian, I would agree with you for past Olympics, but I think this Olympics, since now I'm going to be wearing a reporter hat, I think I'm going to hope that there is not major chaos. I remember there have been meets in the past where Kensley and I have been texting during the meet, 3rd rotation, trying to figure out, what's this? What's been going on before? Can we look up the past scores from 2004, 2006, 2008? So I'm going to be on the side of no chaos as a reporter, but I will enjoy the chaos as a fan.
Okay, so with that being said, I want us each to make our one chaos prediction for these games. So my chaos prediction is China ends up off the podium. They do really well in qualifications, and they like use up all their good energy unusually for them, and then end up off of the podium for team final. That's a very unlikely chaos prediction.
That is a take. I don't know what I'd do if I watched that happen. That'd be crazy. Let's go. I think for my chaos prediction, there's so many people who are so strong on high bar. But the US is up there in terms of like high bar squads. So US high bar sandwich on the podium could be pretty crazy if we had like either Brody or Fred up top, Daiki, or anyone at this point, and then another American. I'd be super into that. It's unlikely, but it is possible.
I think I'm most looking forward to the all around. I think a little bit like what happened last year with Costume coming in from a lower group and ending up medaling. I think someone who doesn't qualify too high is going to be really impressive in the all around.
Very possible. I mean, even in 2012, Uchimura had a horrible qualification and qualified in 9th, I believed, and then came back and, of course, won the all-around title there. So I think I'm going to say that's sort of a safe chaos prediction, but but I like it. All right. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I will not be podcasting. I will not be writing articles because I will be on site in Paris with NBC, which is truly a dream come true for me. And I will be researching with Justin Spring and Lori Hernandez on the daytime show. So we'll be on the live call show. Neutral Deductions is going to be in fantastic hands with Gabe and Christian podcasting. And as I mentioned earlier, Aiden's going to be writing articles and then Matt is going to be editing them. As always, there are going to be podcast articles, analysis, infographics, and so much more. There is going to be stuff available on Neutral Deductions website, on their Instagram and YouTube. So please make sure you are following us on all platforms. As always, we've gotten so many more 5-star reviews. So thank you so much to each of you for taking the time to write those on Apple Podcasts. It really means a lot. This one is from Rich Allen, and he said, succinct and informative podcast. This podcast does an incredible job to provide accurate information about men's gymnastics. You'll get relatively short episodes that cover all of the relevant information you need and some listener questions as well. Getting information about international elite as well as college gymnastics has been extremely tough before this podcast came around. And then in parentheses, they said the host does speak a tad fast at times, so slow down the speed if you want a more relaxed listen. And I do want to say that several people actually have mentioned this, that I speak very quickly, and I'm working on trying to slow down, but I just get so excited about men's gymnastics. So I am sorry that I speak a little quickly at times, but thank you for your kind words and the 5-star review mixed in with a little bit of critique. If you would please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you are listening on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps others find Neutral Deductions and learn about men's gymnastics. If you would like to help bring more men's gymnastics coverage to life, please consider donating. A massive thank you to each of you who have donated so far this season. Even $10 helps us cover a meal. The PayPal link is in every show note and at the bottom of every article on neutraldeductions.com. If you have any questions, comments, or insider tips, you can email us at neutraldeductions@gmail.com. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time.